make my sex life in ancient Rome face?
No, you can't. You were feisty this morning.
I want to say it. Oh, come on.
Usually I'm only joking when I tell you to behave yourself, but really, behave yourself. All right, we are good to go.
All right, everybody, welcome to the October meeting. We have a quorum, so we can get started. First, everyone should have received the minutes in the email invitation. Were there any changes or additions or anything on the minutes from the last meeting? Motion to approve the minutes.
I make that motion.
Is there a second? Okay.
Can you put the minutes up or whatever the agenda so I don't have to look at myself?
Yes, since there's no one on Zoom, I will just. Oh, no, I can't anymore. Dan's joining us.
So I have to look at myself this whole meeting?
Just don't talk
Move,
and the camera won't pick up on you.
move over there.
It's really hard for you to be quiet.
Oops.
See, you're gone now.
Just whispering.
Good morning, Dan.
It's not
Hey,
even.
good morning, everybody.
Dan, why don't you turn on your camera so we can see your beautiful face?
I'm trying to download this dang app so I can do that.
There you go.
You'll have to excuse Anton. He's a little feisty this morning.
Is that just this morning?
Yeah, well, more so, if you can believe it. All right,
All
so
right,
we
have
had a
approval
motion and a
minutes.
second.
Yeah. Next, everyone received the.
Oh, wait, we need to actually vote.
Oh, all in favor?
I
Wasn't,
Are you going to abstain?
I'll abstain,
Okay.
I wasn't at the meeting,
Yeah.
so.
Moving on to the meeting agenda, which everyone received via email in the meeting invites. We have 4 items of old business, no new business. Were there any additions or changes at all to the meeting agenda for today? Seeing none. Do we have to approve it?
No.
No, okay, moving on, and we have no members of the public on the call for public comment. So first item of old business on the agenda was reviewing LD 1870. Welcome. The act to establish a climate super fund. And the takeaways from the last meeting were to have everybody review the legislation and resolutions passed by Rockland and Yarmouth. To see if, basically, if we were gonna decide as a committee, if we were gonna approve or support this legislation. Were there any thoughts or comments or?
I do have an update from Deb. She emailed
Sure.
this morning saying that she checked in on the letter from our Scarborough's legislative delegation and doesn't have an update yet, but she will share the letter as soon as it's received. It has been requested.
Was that really at 3 AM email?
Wait, is that true?
I didn't
Oh,
notice the
goodness.
time because it was the first one in my.
3:30.
We're,
Yeah,
yeah, where-ish.
I don't know where she is currently. Maybe it's not really 3 AM where she is.
Oh, yeah.
So that was-
Maybe it was a more reasonable hour. So just to give a little bit more of a reminder update on this. So this was essentially the legislation we've talked about for a couple meetings now, modeled after the tobacco settlements, where basically the state wants to fine fossil fuel companies for the pollution that they have created over the past 100 years or so. And so it's based on legislation that's currently in place in Vermont and New York and is being challenged. And so the kind of supporters of this legislation are asking for municipalities to pass resolutions in support of it so that the legislature knows that there's local support for For the bill. So we've talked a couple times, this is really kind of like symbolic legislation. We don't know where it will end up, probably a class action lawsuit that will play out in the courts and we'll see what happens. But if it ends up being successful, once all the challenges are complete, it could mean a lot of money for the state of Maine to do climate adaptation and climate action. So I don't know that there's necessarily a downside to municipalities supporting it. And we have heard that Scarborough's legislators are all supportive of it, but it doesn't hurt to have more local voices in support also. So we had discussed last time that once kind of the election is over, so next month, and we know who the new chair of the council will be, that Bill would discuss kind of the process to move this forward, get a sense of whether the council would take this up in one of their meetings to consider a resolution. But we're just kind of getting our ducks in a row for should that happen.
And we discussed, we don't need a formal vote, right, within this committee, but
We
just
would
to
want
establish.
we would do a formal vote once
Yeah.
once we have the kind of the
Resolution.
resolution language and things like that. So the resolutions that have been passed by Yarmouth and Rockland have been provided, and we would modify that and tailor it to Scarborough. Since we have just completed our vulnerability assessment, we can make reference to that. And we're starting in on our climate action plan. We can also reference that as well.
Should we wait until we get the letter?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we just, want to make sure that before I spend a lot of time updating, or any time, not a lot of time, I don't think it'll be that much time, but updating the resolution just to make sure that's the path that this group wants to follow. But yeah, we can certainly wait until we get the letter from the delegation. We're going to include that as an attachment to the resolution. And also once we know that this is an item that the council will make time for on their agenda.
Kind of a lot of ifs. Shouldn't we wait till Deb is back and we have the letter?
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah, when the agenda went out, we weren't sure if we would have the letter or not. So it's there just kind of as a placeholder and so it doesn't get lost.
So it sounds like we're on hold for the moment.
Yeah, just probably until our November meeting. And then we'll have our final decision at that point.
Okay.
The goal would be to get this, we do move forward with the resolution to get it to the council early in the new year. That's when the state legislature will be back in session and likely to take up this legislation again. It was held over from the previous session.
Where does it stand in the state legislature? Do you know offhand?
In terms of support,
Yes.
I'm not sure where it came out of committee, but I can check. It may go back into committee since it was held over.
And then go back in January.
Yeah. Making a note to look at the status in committee.
So ideally, at the next meeting, we would have the letters in advance to review.
Yeah, and have, and can discuss the path forward,
Uh-huh.
because so.
Leave the meeting with the decision.
Yeah, so our next meeting, we'll talk about later on, we'll have to determine the date for
Yeah,
it,
the holidays,
because
yeah.
it is the day before Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
So we'll likely meet early in December. We'll have an extra week or two in there, but between more than we normally would have between meetings. So by that point, the council will be set. I'm not sure that a chair should be selected by early December, right, Bill?
Yes.
So we'll have some more information and know how to move forward at that point.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
Moving on to Sustainable Scarborough Day. Event debrief.
Yeah, it was too nice. It was 80 degrees and sunny.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a beautiful day, and low attendance, I think, because it was such a beautiful day. It was an 80-degree day in October. I think everyone was at the beach and not at Wentworth School. So we ended up, with, I think, 25 vendors. The EV Ride and Drive, had lots of EVs, including an electric boat, for people to check out. Live music, food trucks, activities, goats, little something for everyone. Heard back from a number of vendors that they appreciated the event once again. But yeah, our attendance was a lot lower. It seemed a lot lower this year than in our previous 2 years. And I know Patrice, you said that you had some feedback.
Yeah,
to share.
it was a very nice day and we all had a lot of fun, but I think compared to the other 2 years
Mhm.
that we've done it, it was quite a disappointment. The first year, and the second, but more the first year we did it, the whole loop was filled with people, vendors. And there was a lot of excitement. And in addition to kind of nobody, not a lot of people coming, really, it was pitiful attendance. I think that the lack of vendors was a real problem.
We actually had more vendors this year than in years past, but they were all clustered to the one side,
Okay.
because I think I had let them know ahead of time where the music was going to be. And so they wanted to set up away from the live music so that the noise wouldn't interfere with them interacting with people who attended.
That there were no, for example, there were no heat pump people. There was no hot water, people. Their ACE couldn't make it for lack of staffing. The state couldn't send, they had two things in the past, it's a furloughs and whatever. There wasn't the vibe
Mhm.
that there have been in past years. And so I was thinking that perhaps we might consider a few things. One is maybe combining it with another town to give some excitement, like could we have it on the border of Cape Elizabeth and Scarborough, or is there a place, or probably better South Portland and Scarborough, or just over the line or something like that. Could we maybe we should take a year off, I don't know. And then another thing is really we need to have new stuff, excitement every year. To me, it seemed like if the garden club and the Audubon wasn't there, taking up a lot of room, there would have been an awful lot of big spaces
Mhm.
there. So,
Yeah, we did have a couple groups drop out at the end, so, which has happened every year. So Project Grace didn't come. And US Fish and Wildlife wasn't able to be there because of the government shutdown. And they usually have some really great activities,
Yeah.
interactive stuff.
yeah,
So yeah, definitely lost a couple right at the end.
But nobody knew that, right?
right.
Well, I knew it like 2 days before.
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
But the.
Oh, the
populace
public.
didn't
Yeah,
know
they
that, so
didn't
that
know.
had nothing to do with the lack of people.
Yeah, I think it was just such a beautiful day that
Yeah.
people didn't want to go hang out in the Wentworth School bus loop
Yeah,
with
I
us.
mean, I think we have an awful low sample to start doing things differently because we had one lovely day and people didn't show up out after two pretty well attended,
Mhm.
my opinion.
But I do think that we need to introduce some new excitement and, what? So I was thinking about, sustainability, that word is everywhere now, and, reduce, reuse, recycle. Maybe we could do some kind of a big recycling thing. We had talked about a swap. It could be clothing, it could be small, kitchen tools or machines. But one thing when I lived in Concord, Mass, that they did was that particular day, and they didn't have big trash collection or a swap shop or anything either, but that particular day, they opened it up that people could like create a swap shop there and there was furniture, there was all sorts of, man, the place was mobbed. People were looking for a bargain, and while they're there, they look for things. My husband, he did the photography stuff. He was thinking maybe we could do a, in the vein of reduce, reuse, recycle, like a fix it thing, maybe engage, I don't know, Vogue Tech or something, and bring in your lamp that needs a cord, bring in your something. I mean, we could all figure out something. Which people want to sew on buttons, I don't know, just something like that, a fix it thing. And I just feel that we need to jazz it up somehow, and involve more of the public. Maybe, this year I was shut down when I went to the school about a contest, art contest, sculpture, painting, whatever, that would involve all the students with, making something out of junk, and they're, because I went at the end of the year and the school wasn't open in the summer, that wasn't possible, but I could start now and work towards getting some kind of a contest, that would maybe bring in young people and their families. I don't know, that was just my take.
I like your idea about combining it with something else. Maybe not, I think that was your idea, right? We
Another
have-
town.
Another town,
Another town or another event or something else. Maybe we have a recycling day in Scarborough, don't we, where people bring stuff.
paint and stuff,
Paint.
Oh, household hazardous waste.
Yeah, exactly,
something like
because
that.
there would be a way that,
And what about, we talked about e-waste, if we could, I mean, it's early on, maybe we can organize something,
Third party.
and,
yeah,
that does cost money to get, the vans and stuff to take the
But-
stuff away.
but go where it is, not where it isn't, could find another event that would draw people that we could then just piggyback off. I like the idea about the art contest, if that would draw anybody.
Well, it depends on what you make. Your Roman,
I get the feeling though, and I don't mean to be, I'm gonna be political, so I apologize for it. I get the feeling like the whole country's attitude on solar power, on renewables, on energy efficiency. I mean, I think I'm a big proponent of these induction cookers and stoves for people's houses. I mean, they're brilliant, it's brilliant technology, but we don't even begin to talk about it. We talk about gas and whatnot, and I just think that people's moods have been affected so that they go, forget that.
Yeah.
I'm not apologizing, I'm not making apologies for it, but I just think that I think that's kind of part of the environment as well. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Is Sustainability Day, part of the climate action plan with the consultants at all, or
Well, in what way?
just like in terms of community engagement or, yeah, like.
So the plan will be largely wrapped up by that time next year. I think the goal is to have it done by November, but there would be opportunities to kind of roll out the plan and talk to it at Sustainable Scarborough Day because of the timing, theoretically, assuming
Adding
we
its
stay.
marketing material.
And yeah,
Yeah.
we stay on schedule.
But I don't think that's a big draw. I don't think that would draw people.
Well, just
No.
if they're talking to the community or.
Yeah, there's
engaging
going
the
to be a lot of community
Yeah.
engagement as part of the climate action
Yeah.
plan, so it could be talked up as part of that. There may be, able to kind of help get the word out about it a little bit more. So, I don't know if it was just an normal day, that was an 80-degree weekend in the beginning of October, and so people were taking advantage of You know, possibly summer's last gasp, hard to say.
But what if it was cold and rainy? Then
Yeah.
you'd say they
I
didn't show
know.
up because it was cold and rainy.
And that's true too. We had the first 2 years were the sweet spot. It was like, 65 and sunny
And it
and
was-
felt
it was-
like fall.
It was newer, it was more
Mm.
novel,
Yeah.
and we were in a better mood. I'm being deadly serious. I think people were in a better mood 2 years
We
ago.
weren't quite so cynical.
And it was something different, and
I,
don't think we're in a good mood anymore.
I'm an artist and I do a lot of shows and fairs and whatever, and I have learned not to repeat places or at least the exact same thing, because the first year you tend to do quite well. A little bit of the second year, but the third year you're done. It's like, oh, her. So I think either we soup it up somehow. And the only thing I can think of is the reduce, reuse, recycle, which we really kind of haven't gone into a lot. But that's kind of a big part of sustainability.
Yeah, I think that should back up and say, what is the purpose of sustainability? And if the day serves one of your goals, then the goal of the committee and your work, well, then keep pushing with it. But if it doesn't serve that, and if you do that in other ways, well, focus your attention on upgrading the web pages that you have, or focus on other forms of getting the information out that you want to get out, that you would hope that people would collect if they came to Sustainable Day. You can do that year round and save yourself the effort, or devote your time and effort to those things. And then it doesn't matter if it's raining or sunny or whatever. You're actually more effective overall. So I'd say look at the purpose of that day, and is the day serving your goals?
I really like the idea about, well, the induction cooking, and maybe we could do kind of a cook-off with tents and have a theme like best chili or something like that, cooked on one of these things. Or something, that you'd have a team that would make something, and something that draws all the families of the people that would do that would come, and their friends, and free food is always good. So
Yeah,
Dan has his hand up. You wanna go ahead, Dan?
Yeah, sorry, I got kicked off for a couple minutes, so I might have missed. I mean, I definitely missed some of the comments, but I came back on in time to hear a comment about an art contest or something. I kind of like the idea of building in. I don't know exactly how to say it, but building in some like a more reliable audience. Like if you're trying to attract families, can you get the school involved, right? Can we partner with the Scarborough schools in such a way that they're part of it and kids are part of it, whether it's an art contest or some other thing that students are committing to do and participate in some way, and that's going to draw people because now you've got kids coming, so now you're going to have families coming. Has there been any engagement with the school, with the schools at all for this kind of thing in the past?
The
I-
schools are a tough nut to crack.
they are. I did go to this school. I couldn't even get an appointment. I got a little yellow sticky of, you can send me some information to the secretary.
You're way ahead of me. Okay.
One of the other things I know the school is doing, because I was the one that went, they have a demonstration garden or a big thing at the middle school that I helped them develop and kind of figure out what it was. It's a pretty big project and there's a lot of kids and several teachers involved and they're growing foods and learning about stuff, again, sustainability. Probably should have dragged them in or see if we could.
Yeah, the other idea that I heard was sort of combining it with one of the other town events. So there's a sustainability portion of another event. I know there's like a summer celebration kind of thing. I think that could be promising as well.
Oh, the Summerfest.
The Summerfest.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, why not
Like a
think about sustainability as a portion of that, so you've got that combined onto something else.
Mhm.
How's the turnout of that event been?
That, the Summerfest is huge, gets a couple thousand people, but it's a very different kind of focus. It's just really about community and things like that. Like sustainability committee is welcome to have a table and we can. I can talk to community services. I'm not sure kind of what the process is for others to get tables. I know obviously there are vendors and things like that. I just don't know that the message would come through. I mean, but obviously we'd have the opportunity to talk to many, many more people than we do at Sustainable Scarborough Day. So there's like benefits and trade-offs for both that we need to consider.
I think I'm probably out in the weeds on this. In Portland, LaRue Kitchen has cooking classes once in a while and they'll get one of the local chefs like David from David's Restaurant. He's a really nice man. I met him, but I don't know him. But I mean, if you're interested in maybe doing something for induction cooking, it would be really interesting. Maybe he could come and give a cooking class or a cooking demonstration and use induction cookware that would draw some people. Of course, it would probably draw people that are inclined to do that in the first place, you
Right.
know, so you're really not breaking into any new territory. But I mean, that's another idea. Maybe instead of doing one bigger event, maybe do slightly smaller event and maybe do two of them or something.
Well,
I don't know.
This sounds like a good partnership with the library, that maybe we could be working with the library and do kind of like work with them to plan a few different talks on different topics related to sustainability. They already have kind of the structure in place in order to provide some of that education, and we can do some of the outreach to get different speakers or identify topics and things like that throughout the year.
I was just wondering, is there like a really large event somewhere that, I mean, apart from Summerfest, it's something that would draw people there naturally and we could just piggyback on it?
I mean, the ones that come to mind are Summerfest, like concerts in the park, if you wanted to do some sort of information at concerts in the park, because a couple hundred people attend those on a weekly basis throughout the summer. But I can't think of any.
I mean, kind of like rent an audience, you know what I mean?
I mean,
It's
there's like election day, you can have tables with information on election day, because everybody loves talking to people after they leave the polls. You know, but those are kind of the big ones. I don't know that Household Hazardous Waste Day is the best one. We get maybe 180 participants every year. They're kind of driving through public works, so it's not.
Yeah, no, I was just brainstorming,
Yeah.
you know, where people would go for one reason and then they go, oh, they've got this here too, so let's go check that out. That's what I'm.
What about a fashion show? In the sense that,
Yeah, you could model something, right?
I told you Hampton was feisty
it's,
today.
you know, that reduce, reuse, recycle and get the high school maybe involved with kids and I don't know, give them $25 or something like that. And each one has to go to Salvation Army or something like that and get an outfit and walk down and maybe do a little speech about using, about reuse, recycle, you know? I don't know, just ways to involve people, families, get people there and get excited. In addition to getting people there, we want to get a message out about sustainability.
Well, the other idea too, if you want to grab an audience, Sundays during the summer, we have this farmer's market.
Yeah.
That would seem like a natural place to be, because then we could kind of glom on to their audience. You know, they're over there buying vegetables. I mean, they'll be willing to look at something else too.
But there isn't, could we glom on up there?
Yeah, I think they have a space dedicated to like a nonprofit group or something every week. And so they kind of have a list where I don't know that it would be kind of like, we're gonna have multiple different like organizations and businesses come. It's not set up there for that.
Could we have them come down to us?
We've talked about that, but they're pretty well established up there. I mean, public safety would love to not have them in that parking lot at all. They would love to have them back by the library, but visibility there, they catch so many people just driving down Route 1 that they really don't want to move anywhere else. And I can't blame them.
But those people are acculturated to looking for them at that place. They can then look for them at a new place.
Yeah, but I just think, even if you don't know that there's a farmer's market going on, and in the summertime, how much traffic do we have on Route 1? People are inclined to just stop in, whether they know it's happening or not, because they see it.
I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know the answer either.
Yeah, but it is a lot of time and effort, right? And we want to think about our limited, I mean, I'm speaking on your time and effort, but you know, like what do we want to try to accomplish?
Yeah.
As a committee.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, when we first started talking about this, it was to talk about opportunities available from the Inflation Reduction Act, and it was going to be a workshop and very kind of like defined and limited, and it grew into this much bigger event. So yeah, all about thinking about what are the goals and who are we trying to reach and what is the message we want to convey to them. And, you know, maybe it is time to pivot and think about
Doing something else. I'm sorry, I used to know your name and I forgot.
Oh, Paul Lyons.
Sorry, Paul. Maybe we should just say Sustainability Day was a good idea then. Maybe we need to take a leave of absence for a couple of years and take the research. I don't know how much you invested in putting on sustainability. How much do we have to put in to do Sustainability Day?
I mean, at this point, it is a lot of work, but it wasn't as much as the first one because we have everything developed. But it is a good chunk of time.
But apart from time, do we have a big monetary
We do
investment?
have, well, we
We really don't care, with all,
You
we
don't
really
care
don't care
about
about your time so much, but we care about the money.
So there is a small line item as part of the engineering budget that goes towards, it's not specifically Sustainable Scarborough Day, it's kind of community engagement type things. So it could be for other.
But you don't want to
efforts.
tell us what the amount is.
I think it's $3,500, and we did not spend $3,500.
Maybe that money would be spent better doing something else, like maybe what Paul suggested, or something else, just think of something else that's
Mhm.
not so audience dependent that we have to like kill ourselves trying to attract an audience.
Well, yeah, we don't want to spend all our time trying to chase an audience if we're not exactly sure what we're trying to tell the audience.
And if we can't get the audience either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this will come up with the planning process, you know, with your consultants. How do you market your message?
Mhm.
What are the best use of your time and resources to get the message out? We believe that people need to hear it and they will benefit once they hear it, but you are competing with 1,000 other messages. And if I could speak for the heat pump people, they are
Maxed.
maxed out,
Yeah.
overbooked. They're like, I don't have to go on a Saturday. I could do 3 installs on Saturday, nice weather. And I am working on Sundays too, right? They're in a mad rush. So I wouldn't take it personally, like,
Yeah.
oh, they're not there. It's like, no, because you've been successful.
Yeah, they don't need the business.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
word is getting out, so that's fine. You don't need to have them at a fair. But I still have people asking like, what is a heat pump? Like, what's the pump? You know, like, where's the pump? Try to explain it, but now it has a life of its own. And yeah, so pat yourself on the back, say that's good. All right, so what other messages do you want to get out there and how best to do that? So you could ask the consultants when they're here
Yeah.
and say, you know, are other towns in the evolution of sustainability awareness, have other towns done this sort of annual day? And then when do they, quote, give it up? And then just turn it over to a web page or a brochure. And then you can more efficiently use your time.
Yeah, and a lot of the outreach that we're going to be doing through the climate action plan is going to be just kind of what Anton was saying, was bringing it to existing events. So not expecting people to come to us, we will go to them. And so through that process, we will identify other opportunities where we might be able to engage with residents.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting giving it up at all. I'm just suggesting we take a leave of absence. You know, and maybe this is not the right environment, or maybe you've done too good of a job, or.
When
it's
do you
not a-
need to make that decision? When do you start planning that day?
In the spring,
Yeah, so
we'll get time.
put it off until then and see how you're doing as a committee and say, okay, it's March. Are we gonna do it or not? And, you know, because things are changing.
I don't know, what do you think, Patrice?
I think if we're gonna involve the schools, it's gotta be well before March, because I was there, I think in April, it was way too late.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Jamie about schools being a tough nut to crack. I really do.
I was surprised. I felt like a
You're not,
criminal walking in there.
you're not the only one.
Yeah.
But I think it might be fun to involve community services somehow, because they have events that attract people who, you know, I mean, I don't know, a cooking class using a couple of induction cooktops could be interesting for certain people. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something a little bit smaller that's lower.
Or we have we think about the topics that we want to hit and we plan, you know, a couple like,
Targeted events for those.
for those,
Do
yeah.
do you think it's realistic to coordinate with the library?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because we could have like sustainability branded.
Yeah, so the
events,
library
but-
this year did a whole week of sustainability events leading up to Sustainable Scarborough Day. And I mean, libraries are kind of like the very first organization thinking about sustainability, because it's all about borrowing and not consuming, you know, so. Yeah, I think that the library would be really happy to partner and come up with different kind of help us with different topics
Sure.
to try to get out there.
Yeah. Cause I've seen like libraries host like the Fix It events where it's people come together. I mean, you don't have like a fix it person, but people come together as a group to try to fix each other's stuff.
Yeah, I mean, one of the vendors at Sustainable Scarborough Day came up to me and said that he was planning on he wanted to talk to the library. They were at the event to do kind of a home weatherization
Yeah,
workshop, because this is to kind of take advantage of the last minute tax credits that people can still get through the end of this year. And so doing some like preparing for winter, you know, doing crack sealing and you know, the window inserts and things like that. That's another thing to think about too, is there's an organization in Maine called Window Dressers, and they work with low income people to kind of build and install temporary inserts for windows that make them much more efficient in the wintertime. to save on heating bills and things like that. That is a really big lift for the community. So it's something that would kind of be like an all hands on deck. Everybody needs to, like, in this group needs to assist with and participate in. But that there's an opportunity there too to help kind of community members reach some of our goals in terms of you know, reduction in energy use and things like that, and do something really good for the community.
We did something like that. At least 12, 13, 14 years ago.
Mhm.
Cause I remember Deb had one of her children and they were really quite young. It was with Project Grace. And it was over here at Ace Hardware Store with making these window inserts with wooden frames.
Yeah.
And putting them in the windows.
Yeah.
I don't think that was really all that well attended either, but it's that has been done. you
Yeah.
know.
The way that it works with window dressers is we basically solicit people to say, like, you know, we can work with our kind of general assistance folks, community assistants, and get a mailing list together and mail out like letting people know that this opportunity is available. Volunteers will go in and measure their windows so that we know what sizes need to be built. We'll work with window dressers to actually build the inserts that go in their windows, and then at another like weekend, essentially, we bring them to the people and install them. So
Wow.
like I said, it is a big
Well,
kind of,
that's a big effort.
it is a big effort,
Jeez.
but it's effective. And it is geared towards low income.
Yeah. Thanks.
What about the e-waste idea? Doesn't everybody have a couple of things, you know, old cell phones?
Yeah, I could throw this away too.
Yeah, exactly. Something's hanging around the house.
Yeah.
I mean,
We have tons of stuff like that.
we have,
We,
Yeah, but-
Jim, all
I
of
mean,
us.
everybody takes that. Good, Best Buy will take anything.
And then they
from
give you a
you.
coupon.
Goodwill
Yeah.
will
Oh.
take anything
Yeah.
from you, working or not.
I didn't know.
So there are
we
already
could-
places that people drop stuff off.
Could we try to just corral all the, like, where to get rid of everything that you have in Scarborough, just like corral, is that realistic to like have resources?
Mhm.
Yeah, that you have on our website.
Yeah, I mean, like, we kind of started the conversations back in the spring about how to better use the committee's
Yeah.
webpage, and definitely having some information there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say I have not looked, I don't know that I've really ever updated the committee's page since I've been
Yes,
here,
no,
so
we
it's
do need to
definitely
put
time
more
to
into that, yeah.
put some effort into that.
Yeah, Jamie, if you took $3,500 and you printed something like 8.5 by 11 of plastic, whatever. And you got that into every kitchen in Scarborough, say, what do you do with this? It shows like a little diagram, this and this, your electronic waste goes here, 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 here. Your food waste, you know, that everyone has that. Every household has that in their kitchen or an inside of a utility door, you know, people will take self-adhesive, whatever, like. In terms of effectiveness of your work. You know, think about things like that. So you don't,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to. Organize the day, but you need to get information into every household.
And then have the, like, you know, follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or whatever, yeah,
You know, so.
sign up for the newsletter.
But people are inherently lazy and you can give them, you know, the thing on their kitchen. Counter, which I think we should do. It's a great idea, but, having a place where they could come and participate in some fun stuff and drop off their e-waste might be attractive.
Paints, chemicals, stuff like that.
So that would be, yeah, I mean, that's household hazardous waste day. I can talk to Public Works to see if there might be room to incorporate e-waste into that also, and that would be something, that, you know, I could assist them with, this committee could assist them with to kind of do a little bit more for that event. But yeah, the paints and, I mean, paint can be brought back to our hardware stores, but chemicals and things like that, that would be household hazardous waste day specifically.
Question, you said something about the library did a week's worth of sustainability. How well was that
It
attended?
was really well attended.
So everybody went there and then they didn't need to go to the last day. So, I mean, we don't have enough information about why people didn't come.
Yeah, we don't, you're right.
At this point to make any decisions. How well was the farmer's market attended on that day? Can we find out? If
Yeah.
no one showed up
Yeah.
there, then your
Mhm.
idea is correct. People went elsewhere.
Mhm.
We don't know. We don't know enough information yet.
Well, I think the farmer's market was well attended. But I don't know how we would go about developing this data. You know, I mean, I don't know whether the farmer's market keeps attendance or whatnot. But they always seem to be well attended on Sunday mornings.
Working with the library is a good idea.
Mhm.
Library's always looking for ways in which to broaden its communication out to the public, so they would be happy to start to sponsor with us
Mhm.
a sustainability day. You've got a spot right there, you've got the parking lot. That's a good direction for us to head. And one more year on the council and then I'll be back on the library board, so.
Yeah, and I know, so Elsa is their kind of community program person at the library, and she and I chat periodically throughout the year on different things. And she's always said if there's anything that the library can do to support kind of sustainability work, and engagement for education, that they would be all for it. So there's definitely opportunities there.
And I think it might be a lot easier to work with the library than it would be with the school.
Yeah,
Sure.
And
It's much
Be the
easier.
way
Yeah.
in, yeah.
yeah, and also too, they might also be able to come up with some interesting ideas for children, things like that, you know? And,
They have a
and
built-in
you-
audience, yeah.
yeah, and you might even consider a different day even. You
I
know,
don't know, I've got a really expensive banner that goes over
Yeah.
the road that says that's the day.
Yeah,
well,
But if you coordinate with the library so that they don't spend a week sucking all the people out of, because they've already been through all this, maybe it will work out better.
and it might make your life easier too, because you're working with another group.
Yeah.
Rather than it's just you trying to do something on a Sunday morning, maybe they do something on a Saturday afternoon that works just as well, and banner is just a banner, you know.
Teasing you, Anton.
I went to several of the library things that week, and there were a lot of lectures in the evening. They had fabulous people. They were in the evening, and then a few things during the day, and then some little activities for kids. It wasn't like a 10 to 2 type
Yeah.
thing. And yeah, it was well attended. There were 2 things that I went to on sustainable farming and landscaping practices were they filled that room, that small room. But that, you know, that isn't hundreds of people.
You're still preaching to the choir.
Mhm.
You're still preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
It'd be
you
nice
need
to
to-
find sinners you
Mhm.
could preach to.
Well,
Well, that's the
sinners.
problem.
Work on that, Anton.
you know, a mailer could reach the centers, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about effective outreach, it really is kind of like the person to person. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, we might reach them, but are they really getting the message? Are they
Sure.
understanding it? Are they gonna do anything with it? So, I mean, that's kind of like, that's step one, is kind of like getting the information out there, but then there need to be other opportunities to engage with
Up on it,
people if we
yeah.
really wanna see that people are going to make a difference.
And
Do
we've
things.
always talked about putting stuff on trash cans,
So
you know.
there is information. Trash cans, but technically, we've got an ordinance that says you can't put anything on trash cans because they're the property of the town. And so even like replacing stickers and stuff, we've gotten comments back from residents who are like, why are you doing this? Your ordinance says you're not supposed to do this. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really
That's awesome.
crazy. It is crazy.
You always get comments, you get comments from certain people on everything.
Yes, you do.
But something on top of a trash, the whatever you call those things we have, trash
The
bins.
toters, yeah.
Yeah, before you throw something away, I said, do you know you can recycle this? This
Yeah,
is where you go with
And they
it.
do
It's
have,
like right there, they see it every time.
yeah, and they do have information. Well, and the messaging on top of the bins really focuses on what should be inside the bins. Because there's a lot of people just throwing stuff in a bin
Well,
willy-nilly.
I don't know what my bin says, but my bin doesn't say much.
Your bin
You
doesn't
might
talk
need a
to
new
you.
My
sticker.
bin doesn't talk to me anymore.
Been there, done that.
It's been there, done that.
It's trying.
I think it
It's
says,
trying.
don't try to move it with the lid open.
That's exactly what it says.
That's what it says.
It's like danger, don't do that.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
don't be a smart, close the lid before you move it.
Well, should we move on? to the Next one, okay,
Yes.
but maybe revisit in the spring? and
Early.
talk-
Earlier,
Early.
Yeah,
We should
or
revisit
January,
it sooner rather than
and,
later,
and
Yeah,
consider,
let's talk first of the year
Okay,
about
alright.
what the plan
because
is.
it takes time.
sure, okay.
Especially if we're going to change altogether, we'll
Yeah.
wanna have kind of a plan in
Yeah.
place for.
And Jamie needs to figure a place that she can resell the banners. That's gonna
It
take a
can't be
while.
like the
Facebook
It's
Marketplace,
enormous.
yeah,
If anybody wants a.
Put it out
single
on,
Scarborough
put it out on Facebook Marketplace or something, maybe somebody in
someone will hang it in there.
yeah.
Aspen, Colorado needs it.
There's like a
Scarborough.
Scarborough, Ontario.
England.
Yeah, Chicago, and there.
Oh, I forgot, it says Scarborough, I'm sorry.
I'll reach out to Scarborough, Ontario and see if they need a banner.
Next on the agenda was the municipal solar array. I talked to energy service advisor at CES, Charlie, who came in and gave us the presentation. And he just gave me the estimate for running the solicitation for bids would be around 10K was his estimate for that. And he said that if we decided to move forward with it, that he would help us identify sites like within that cost, so,
Okay.
yeah.
That's good to know. So,
Yeah.
and. I was able to confirm that the town won't put out any kind of solicitation without having the funding secured, just
Yeah.
as I said last meeting. Just for recognizing the amount of time that it takes to put together a proposal. We don't want, potential partners, consultants to put in that effort and then have nothing come of it, so. So yeah, this would be something that we would consider as part of the upcoming budget cycle. And could include as a potential capital improvement project or a line item in the budget if if it makes sense to use it, do it as part of the operating budget. But it would be kind of July 1 would be the soonest that we would move on something like that.
Okay.
Are there thoughts on that? What are people feeling about?
I think it would be really great if we could develop at least an idea from a cost benefit perspective for, I think it was Dan that mentioned this, that having covered parking here in the parking lot. I mean, and have put solar panels on top of that might cover a lot of bases, right? Public service, Public Works might be happy because it might reduce their snow plowing effort. It would generate some power. I mean, what would that cost and
Or
how
putting it on.
would we go about quantifying the benefit? Because if you go to the town and say, we need some money to maybe do this, they would say, well, what's in it for
Yeah.
us? I mean, it would be good to be able to say, well, this is a pretty good proposal. Otherwise, we would say, well, maybe we shouldn't even be thinking about it if it doesn't make economic sense. I know there's the whole environmental thing
No, but it
involved in
needs
all
to
of
check
this,
multiple boxes.
but I think it really does boil down to saying, well, we have qualitative things and we also have these quantitative things as well.
Yeah, and Charlie's email also said that kind of accessory solar, so like specifically having it, you know, rooftop solar or kind of if it's parking lot, so it's going to kind of the municipal will be for municipal use. Is really going to be the way to go because of the changes in the state's net metering, some things like that.
See, and I don't know what those are, but it would be really nice to
Yeah,
understand what the dollars are involved.
well, there's certainly like was much more incentive through net energy billing credits to build these like structures. I mean,
Like a commercial
like
solar,
commercial
right?
solar,
Like
but
basically.
those are all have all been rolled back. So I mean, the benefits that remain besides environmental would be to put them on an existing building and you're offsetting the electricity that that building is using, so.
Yeah, so even
I mean,
without,
I don't know
even
what
with,
type of appetite there is from developers for.
yeah, but even without the credits and without, let's say, any kind of governmental support for it, does it make, is there is there an economic gain to play here?
Mhm.
Is there a benefit?
I mean, this is the toughest part of this moment in terms of legislation, both state and federal, because so many things are changing. So it's a lot harder to understand the landscape. It was a lot more of a clear bet a year ago, 2 years ago, even 5 years ago. And just for reference, the guy sitting in the room with you, Paul, he and I have worked on some solar projects together in the past, in our former lives. So he understands this business well, and could be a potentially a good community advisor for us as well. But I think, look, my opinion is, in order to find out what the economic sense is, we've got to put something out. We've got to have some way to engage folks. It doesn't have to be a formal RFP. It could be something a little bit more informal, where the same folks that we might put out an RFP to, we might invite some of them to come talk to us about what that landscape is. I think CES also, we know, could, as an advisor, could give us a little bit more clarity, but I think we have to see kind of what folks are offering and what their view is. And I 100% agree. This is really not an environmental play. This is an economic play. It's got to be, that's the right framing for this. It's got to make economic sense. It's got to offer the town something that they're not getting right now.
Can we collect data without, it seemed to me that you can't send out a request for proposal until you have the funding secured. But you can't, it
Well,
seems like we
can-
have a horse, chicken and egg, or a
Yeah.
horse and carriage.
I
kind
mean,
of-
we got information from CES that to do this would cost about $10,000. We could call a couple other companies to see what that would also cost, so that we know what to budget for.
Basically, there's two kinds of different RFP processes, right? One is to get an advisor. That's the first one, right? Is having money secured, and that's the 10K or roughly 10K would be like, we would need to put out some type of an RFP to get an advisor even on board to help us run this, right? Is that how others understand the approach here?
Mhm.
Rather than, hey, we need $1 million to go build a system, right? I don't think that's what we're talking about.
What I'm thinking about is even maybe more simple than that. It's kind of like a back of envelope kind of thing. I mean, if you've been in a business for a while, you would say, well, it might cost about this to put up this kind of structure, and the solar panels would cost about this. And then we could determine how much that would compare to what we would be saving in terms of an energy use or something from an economic perspective. Even before you start the whole process, come up with a more informal understanding of what the numbers are.
It's less about the cost of building the system and more about what the business model of the builders is. right? So this is what we've talked about before. Like, we're not likely to go and finance the construction of a solar project directly from the town and then reap the benefits. There are other business models out there, like where we're just buying the power, for example, and that's where state and federal incentives come in and affect the pricing, and you really understand whether that makes economic sense or not.
But there are no longer state and federal incentives, right? So the economics are changing.
There are, they're just different than they were.
I would just like to know whether it makes sense from an economic viewpoint without all of the state and governmental incentives. And then just say whatever they are, that's just gravy. But maybe I have this completely wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, you do. You look,
No,
you don't.
that's a cool observation.
No, you don't have it wrong. Like from a basic standpoint, but I don't think that we as a town are trying to be in the business of investing money into a thing and waiting for a 10 to 15 year payback period. I don't think that's going to be the most optimal thing for the town. I'm guessing the town's not really going to be supportive of that. Right. We want to look for a thing where we're making money or we're saving money tomorrow.
Or at least having kind of consistent costs that don't fluctuate
Well,
over. the long
that's kind of what I was thinking. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not thinking of a long-term payoff. I mean, does it save us money in the here and now without all of the governmental incentives?
No, it'll take 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll,
More than 10.
We have a contract, right, fixed, costs for three more.
3 more years.
3 more years.
so it's cash flow negative from the get-go.
Absolutely.
But it's the right thing to do.
Who cares about that anymore?
Yeah, we have a lot of trouble selling the right thing to do, right?
That's why we're all looking so depressed.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, if there is, first of all, who knows what's gonna happen 3 years from now? 5 years from now, but also, if there is like pricing stability. So we are locked in for 3 more years. We know what our costs are going to be, but beyond that, we don't. And so we should be thinking about what options exist so that we can have long-term stability in our energy costs moving forward beyond the end of that contract. And so that's why we're having these discussions.
So you're saying that it would be around $10,000 to have an outsider run an RFP, and you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't approve that money till next July.
Right.
So that's actually okay. If you have 3 years and you get going on this a half year from now, and say that money is approved, that entity does their work, there may be some stability in terms of federal and state policies by then. And if not, then you could say, well, we're not going to spend the 10,000 because it's an uncertain landscape. We have to wait for this to settle down, and you still are within your 3-year time frame. If that entity came up with an RFP and you had really strong responses to it and it looked favorable, then they still have time to do construction within that 3-year period. So, you're still okay.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Is that an accurate summary?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
It's Dan will tell you, and I'll tell you, it is on its own, it will not pay back for 15 years. 10 more than 10 years easily. Yeah, so,
Yeah, but isn't that based upon your projection of electricity costs?
yeah,
What future electricity prices might be doing?
yeah, so it pays
And-
back in 10.5 years.
And another cost savings might be maybe you're not doing as much plowing. And that is a say,
That's a very small, it's like
That's just a bonus.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
just-
you won't see that. You won't see that. You won't see Public Works like handing you back money because they didn't have to do it. They'll just be like, wow, that's easy to work underneath those arrays because, it's minimal.
but okay.
Yeah. But you won't see that
But
cash.
it just, yeah,
With all of the changes in incentives, is there appetite from developers for these sorts of projects? I mean, are we gonna get? I don't know.
I think Dan can tell you
Yeah.
this. He's on
Sure,
committee,
sure.
but he's on the phone, but there's so much uncertainty in the next few
Yeah.
months that. Yeah,
That would be, I don't know that answer, Dan, if you do, but that would be where I would think that there is a little bit of a risk at moving.
I
ahead.
couldn't quite hear the question.
It's like, is there an appetite like from developers for these sorts of projects, given like the change in all of the incentives? Like, would we get?
I think there is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there is. I think residential solar has really taken the biggest hit. But these companies aren't going away. I mean, solar's not going away. It's just got to morph a little bit, and that's what people are still trying to figure out. So people have spent the last few months trying to get projects to qualify under the old rules, so they've got a little bit of runway. And now now everybody's sort of looking into the next phase.
I guess what I keep stumbling over is, and maybe I don't understand it, is that we can't develop any data until we spend $10,000. Is that correct? And we can't go out and get an RFP until we are sure that we have the funding for it. But we don't know whether we need the funding until we understand what the economics are and develop the data.
Not exactly. What we talked about last meeting, and this was where I sort of thought the same as you are saying right now, that we really couldn't engage with folks. It's a public process, and I was hesitant to talk to anybody just because of the rules around sort of public procurement. But it sounded like there is some flexibility in just sort of getting some informal opinions from folks. And so that's part of what I'm going to do, is to try to collect that data and see sort of what the story is out there and what the interest from folks who could be the type of companies that would do this for us.
Yeah, I would say conversations are fine, to kind of gauge cost and scope and interest. Knowing that we would need to, like, as a municipality, as a public entity, we would be putting out have a formal process where we select who actually is going to provide or like carry out the scope of work for us. And just talking to people to get this information does not exclude them from that process.
Yeah.
So, and this is the type of stuff that we do on a lot of different projects, is just talking to either usually consultants that we have a relationship with, to kind of talk through what we're thinking, so that we have a sense of what the budget would be, so that we know what to plan for. So road projects all the time, we're like, this culvert needs to be replaced. So they're gonna give us a kind of quick and dirty estimate of what they think it would cost, so we know what to plan for in our budget, and that's totally fine. But knowing that we would then have to put that work out to bid to do the formal engineering, and then later for the formal construction as well. So, like, the conversations don't exclude people from kind of participating in the formal bid process once it comes along.
I was just wondering how much information we can develop before we have to spend any money.
Yeah, I think we just need, I mean, I think the companies are going to speak to us in generalities, and so having the RFP will be very specific to Scarborough, but like in their experience, and expert opinion. These are kind of, this is what the landscape looks like, this is what the cost would be to do kind of the advising for us. Without giving us very specifics that are tailored to Scarborough and our situation.
And I would also like to understand how the payback period works. When you say it's not gonna break even for 15 years. I mean, I just like to see how that works.
And I think that that's still in flux, knowing that the rules are changing, so maybe hopefully we'll know more by spring, but. And the payback period was much better, you know, previous to this, because there were all of those incentives that would kind of speed up the payback
When we're
process.
talking about a payback period here, we're talking about a present value analysis. That's what we're talking about. Okay.
Should we move on to the
Yes.
last item? Yeah. Just in the interest of
Yes,
time.
interest of time.
Climate action plan update.
Yep, so we will be forming a working group as part of the climate action plan. So this will be, my understanding, it's going to be representatives from town staff, town committees, and then residents, hoping to get a good representative kind of cross-section of Scarborough. And it's essentially, work group is going to participate in 3 or 4 meetings, starting in the first of the year. They'll probably be somewhat longer meetings since they are, there's so few of them, but really going to help. I can kind of give an overview. The first meeting would be introducing the process, discuss roles, confirm the plan priorities and vision. Present the existing conditions analysis, so our consultant is going to start doing kind of the data analysis, the greenhouse gas inventory for Scarborough. So the first meeting would be in person. The second meeting will focus on barriers and opportunities to kind of taking action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Thinking about and considering equity as part of the process as well. And then the third meeting will be basically building out blueprints or kind of step-by-step guidelines for how to implement certain actions. And so that will be for things that the town will be doing to engage with the public to get them to take action. The heat pumps was a good example. How do we get more people to install heat pumps? Clearly, we've kind of like hit that point where like everybody sees the benefits of heat pumps, so we might not. Maybe Scarborough needs to focus on that more. I'm not sure where we are in terms of heat pump installations, but just as an example, as the industry as a whole, they've hit the point where people just know heat pumps and you don't need to necessarily do a lot of outreach and engagement about them because people are already asking for them. So that's probably, those will start in January, February, and continue through the spring. So that's kind of what we're looking for a representative from this group to participate in that process. Just to give a little bit of an overview of what's happening now, I mentioned kind of the data analysis. So pulling together all of that information to give to our consultants. They're also working on, we've formed a branding subcommittee, so we'll be developing a brand both for this plan and then it'll extend to, I'm hoping it'll extend to just like the town sustainability work in general. And so that's going to be, hopefully it will definitely be tailored to Scarborough, and resonate with Scarborough residents, and be, very locally identifiable for Scarborough. And so the group that we're working with, focuses a lot on kind of branding, marketing, and engagement so that we're not just kind of reaching people for the plan. We'll have steps to reach people once the plan is completed so that we'll be able to implement it effectively. So that's why we'll have the brand for the plan, and everything that we do to implement the plan will also carry that brand, so it'll be recognizable. So those are kind of the first kind of big things that we're we're working towards for the climate action plan. So looking to see if anybody from this committee is interested in participating as in the working group, participating in those meetings, providing feedback, and then also reporting out to this group about what's happening with the plan.
I will if an alternate can do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You can do it.
Awesome.
That sounds fun.
Who else is in this climate? Who else is in this working group?
So we are having a kickoff meeting with the consultants this week, and they're kind of gonna give us like the an overview of who they want. My thought is to include Project Grace, Conservation Commission, a representative from the Transportation Committee, and community services and public works will be involved, but having representatives from both the town side, but also the community as a whole as well. We'll get a business representative or two working with SEDCO to identify those people. So yeah, they'll kind of give us their kind of like makeup of who they want to make sure and work with us to identify the groups and things like that. So if you guys have thoughts on groups that we should engage with, happy to hear them. But thinking Project Grace to help with kind of reach our low income areas of the community. Obviously business is huge. We'll have schools represented as well and engage with them.
How many people are you looking to have involved in this?
The working group will probably be pretty large, probably like 15 or so people for those 3 meetings. But then beyond that, we'll be working in kind of smaller groups to get the word out to the community. And that's why they want a lot of different or a good representation from the community so that they can help us kind of reach the different pockets of the community.
Are they gonna do a greenhouse gas inventory? Okay.
Yeah, they're working on that right now. I'm working on compiling the data for them.
So you don't need any utility representatives?
We may potentially, and they'll let us know if they want that. We do have a good connection, fortunately with CMP, our former planning director is working for them, so I'm going to make him.
Oh, he would be nice to have involved.
So yeah, we're going to ensure that they are participating also.
Would it be Jay or?
It would be Jay, yeah.
You'll enjoy him. He's a nice man.
Yeah.
Jay Chase,
Jay
our
Chase.
former planning director. Yep, he does kind of municipal support with CMP.
He's a good guy.
And who are the largest employers in Scarborough?
Yeah,
Can you get a representative for them because they have like a very large
Yeah.
impact on what happens, and they would also you want to have them be part of it,
Mhm.
you know, whether it's Hannaford or it's Maine, the medical
yeah,
service.
Maine Health.
Something like that, yeah. Because they're probably working on this stuff already, and if they can interact with your planning process, it reinforces what they're doing, and then that also gives more credibility to what this committee is working on.
Yeah, so Hannaford, Maine Health, probably Piper Shores will be.
They have a big
Yeah.
action plan.
Yeah.
Going on right now.
Mhm.
And they have they hired a dedicated person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll move on to updates. Yeah.
Yep.
Town council?
Oh, what do we have? We had a couple of things that, well, the vulnerability, and Jamie, you can talk to that, was
Was approved.
approved.
Yeah, vulnerability assessment.
That was one thing. We also had, as matters of any consequence, short-term rentals looked like it was going to create a process for tracking what sort of short-term rentals we have in the community. And I thought it was on track to pass unanimously, and people seem to find reasons for not supporting it. And so Corey and I don't remember who the third person was, voted for it. as a good next step. Didn't intrude too much on the short-term rental business that exists in town. But it was, did not get a majority, so that is where it goes, I'm not sure. The other thing before the town council recent meetings has been the discontinuance of Sawyer Street, which, if you're not familiar with it, if you're at the Hayes Beach Market and you head towards Cape Elizabeth, you go about a half a mile, you'll take a left,
Mhm.
and you cut right across the marsh up to Cape Elizabeth and South Portland. And that the issue there was whether it's going to be discontinued because it's flooding more and more frequently. My own view was put up a big sign that says the road at may flood, be aware and be able to respond accordingly. But the argument that this is an environmentally important step to take was the winning argument in front of the Scarborough Town Council, and that passed, I think, unanimously.
6-1.
Yeah, the one fisherman who has no clue. So that was the way we went. Surprising to us, the town of Cape Elizabeth went 5-2 to keep the road open. So you kind of say, well, where does that leave you? Well, it leaves you in a very uncertain setting because you need both to keep it open, both to keep it closed. I mean, so I talked to Tom Hall, and he thought that unless it was resolved between the two towns what to do. I know John Anderson, tongue in cheek, sent the town of Cape Elizabeth a note saying, of course, you're gonna pay for.
I don't think it's tongue in cheek. I think that that's the desire, whether that actually happens.
What for the
Right.
maintenance? You're gonna pay for it.
That-
They are gonna maintain it? We don't know.
Cape Elizabeth wants to keep it open, so it needs to be maintained.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, and when I thought about it, although I voted to close it, was that it could be a lot longer. There could be an interim step where you just warn people that the road could flood. And once it becomes a common experience, then maybe you close it. But that could be 5 to 10 years away.
And we've got the money for the project now.
And
We're not
that-
going to have it in 5 to 10.
Right, that was the argument. The money has been awarded to us to do the work. So that was the compelling, that
Yeah.
overcame.
When the project was awarded a year and a half ago, it was unanimous between both councils to support the project.
1 year ago.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was December or February 2024.
Yeah.
And so now that we need to do the official step to close the road,
Who's holding the money? Who's got the money?
Cape Elizabeth received the grant. But
So it's their money.
it's theirs, but Scarborough and US Fish and Wildlife have all signed on to the contract, so it's a joint project. Scarborough or Cape Elizabeth is just kind of the financial fiscal agent for it.
The town of Scarborough maintains the road.
No one maintains the road, it's in horrendous condition.
I know, I was gonna say, what-
Who's
But
responsible?
Scarborough, so we share the road, there's a culvert on the road that is the town line.
Yeah.
The majority of the road is in Scarborough.
Yeah.
Much less of the road is in Cape Elizabeth.
They just dig it up.
Yeah.
That
Just
was.
dig it up and just rename it in Scarborough, say the road to perdition. And then Cape Elizabeth,
So-
like,
Well, and that's it. I think once one town says, let's close the road.
Thank you.
Town doesn't have the ability to stop them.
yeah,
And once they do close it, then you can really close it physically.
Yeah.
closing. And that-
So Cape Elizabeth voted to not continue with the process. Scarborough voted to continue with the process. So there will still be a public hearing about it and will still be a final vote. I think politically, the council will vote not to close it because the entity that we share the road with voted to keep it open. But personally, I would love to see us. vote to
That
close it.
works out well for you because you can make it a demonstration point for an electric boat.
Really, you could rent an electric boat right there, have a
Yeah.
little
We'll have a
dock.
ferry service to get,
Yeah.
just drive on Route
I can-
77, please.
I can imagine that for Cape Elizabeth, like, we're getting stranded. Whereas we're here, it's like, well, we got other choices, right?
Well, no, the issue is that here, we've got 30 roads that need to be addressed, this being one of them, and it's probably, no one lives on it, like the residents who live on it are in support of the project. It's it's not an evacuation route, it's not a main thoroughfare, this should have been the easiest project for us, and
Yeah.
it was going to be. We received a $1.6 million grant to do this project. The town was going to contribute less than $200,000 to construct the turnaround. It's really the lowest cost option. It's the best option
It's
for
obvious, yeah.
the marsh. It's really unfortunate
bummer.
that people want to be able to walk and bike on that road. So Cape Elizabeth wants to keep it in place.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Cape Elizabeth people had more usage of it, and they were kind of. It was a road they really liked, and it's a very attractive drive.
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot, but the
Yeah.
road, as you said in your public comments, the road shouldn't be there.
Well,
We shouldn't be
yeah,
on that
you
road.
wouldn't build it today,
No.
so, yeah.
So,
One day it will be out of existence anyway.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
yes,
whether someone says so. or not.
truly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now or later.
Yeah. Quickly, planning board.
Quick, it was another busy agenda at planning board this month, and a few items will be coming back next month. We had a couple of public hearings that were already through their first reading with council, including, limiting temporary signs on certain intersections. We're adding intersections to the list in the existing, section of the zoning ordinance. And then also going through performance standards for landscape contractor uses, and then one zoning change, that was relatively minor. And then we've had a couple amended site plans that were approved. And a couple subdivisions are still pending. Joni's Way, which is about 4 lots, is going as a consent item for the next meetings. We're just waiting on a DOT memo, basically. And then the Elmwood subdivision, which is the larger conservation subdivision, is still being reviewed, and they're revising their submittal and kind of working with the board to figure out how to meet everyone's needs. And we had a couple sketch plans that will be interesting to follow. One is for Burnham Heights off of Broad Turn, and that would be 24-unit multifamily. And then the Mariners are proposing a practice ice hockey arena in the Downs in the Innovation District. So that was also a sketch plan that was discussed. So a lot of those are coming back for the following planning board meeting. And yeah.
What is this about signs at intersections?
So we added, I can get you the specific intersections, but we added a few intersections essentially to the ecologically sensitive areas that are listed in the temporary signs regulations and
What is a temporary?
Like
sign?
political signs.
Yeah.
Essentially.
like the little like lawn signs effectively. So limiting those partially for visibility purposes and aesthetics. There's one intersection in the Downs as well that's relatively.
So they don't get blown into like the marsh or
Yeah,
wetlands,
exactly.
litter and things like that. Yeah.
Conservation Committee?
Yeah, commission really was focused most recently on the Sawyer Street project and has put in a ton of work for that, speaking both in Scarborough and Cape Elizabeth in support of the project. And then they meet tonight to begin discussing goal setting for 2026. And I can give a quick update for Transportation Committee. Metro has announced that we'll be getting bus service down Route 1 in Scarborough, which is really exciting. They released that announcement last week. Still waiting on details of the micro transit that's going to be piloted in Scarborough, and once we have more information about that, we'll provide an overview to the committee also.
What's that, micro?
It's kind of going to be like, it's on demand, it's kind of like Uber, but it's through Metro, so you kind of, there's
on a discounted basis.
Right, it's
So-
discounted and on demand, so basically you call for a Metro van, it'll come pick you up. I think it's usually within 20 minutes and bring you to your
the bus.
destination.
And to the bus line.
And to the bus
See.
line if you need it, yeah. But they've piloted it in Falmouth with really great success. They've noted that it's most heavily used by seniors and students.
It's great, you could check that box on your climate
Yeah,
action plan.
exactly.
This could be very exciting for us.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, we're kind of a transit desert a little bit in Scarborough, so it'd be great to,
Because we're
Have-
very big.
Yeah.
A lot of roadway.
yeah. So to have some better options and hopefully get people literally on board with transit.
That's great news.
So, yeah, that might be something to think about in terms of working with the library to promote once it's kind of in place, so that. And even, getting the vans or a bus there for people to get on and see what it's like and kind of familiarize themselves. Just to, so people understand, kind of take the fear of the unknown or the stigma out of it. Cause it's great, and really one of the biggest things we can do to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions is get cars off the road. So,
Great.
Meeting dates for.
oh, yeah.
The rest of the year.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, our November and December meetings are up against Thanksgiving and Christmas, so usually we will reschedule our November meeting to the following week, so that would look like is that December 5th or 3rd? December 3rd, yeah. And so usually we will move our November meeting back a date and then not meet in December because it's just crazy around the holidays. So if December 3rd works for everyone, we can pencil that in. Otherwise, we can talk about other dates.
That's good.
That works. And then we'll next meet January 28th.
Yeah, and then we'll resume our regularly
Yeah.
scheduled.
Okay.
What about the election coming up? Are some of us going away? Do we all have to run?
Oh, for the appointments?
Yeah,
I don't think anyone terms out this year.
You have to run.
No, but you need, I mean, I will look. Usually the town clerk's office will let you know who is up for reappointment. Cause you do need to resubmit your application. I will check and email those folks who are up for reappointment. So you have some time to get the application in. But yeah, I don't think anybody's being kicked off yet. It's only Rick last
Did
year.
December 3rd work for everybody?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah.
for me.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah.
Motion to